The Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has alerted Nigerians to a new malware capable of infiltrating banking apps and doing damage to bank accounts. A malware is a generic word used to describe a virus or software designed specially to disrupt, damage, or gain unauthorized access to a computer system. Well, according to the NCC, the new high-risk and extremely damaging malware named FluBot impersonates Android mobile banking applications to draw fake web view on targeted applications, and its goal transcends stealing personal data and essentially targets stealing of credit card details or online banking credentials. This disclosure is contained in a press statement signed by NCC's Director for Public Affairs, Dr. Ikechukwu Adinde. Joining us to take a look at this malware and how Nigerians can protect themselves against it is a software developer who is also an expert in web and mobile technologies and the CEO of WebIQ, a creative web and mobile solution firm, Joseph Ogbaji. Joseph, you're welcome to the morning show.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
I mean, we've got something to worry about, isn't it? I know that Australia has dealt with it. A good number of European countries have also dealt with it. How concerned should we be from what the NCC is saying about the FluBot malware?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I must congratulate the NCC for getting out the information as soon as possible, although it has hit the Australians since on the 24th of September, and that is an amazing way they dealt with it. So how secured we should be depends on the individual. There are several factors and layers that involves what we intend to do as individuals, and there are layers into security batches. First and foremost, we need to look at the application itself, then we look at the manufacturers of the device, then we look at the operating system. So these are three different layers. And one thing we should consider again also is that a malware will only fully function with the aid and collaboration of the individual operating that device. In other words, you need to accept and affirm that a malware is introduced to your device before it can actually steal your credentials, your personal data, your banking applications, and other information. So the individual is more of a person that is responsible for a malware to actually operate in his device.
That is, I was going to say that Joseph should maybe expand more on that, because
yes.
I think it's essentially about receiving unsolicited SMSs, etc. Yes. So it's about you accepting or not accepting. It doesn't barge in onto you. I mean, even if it barges onto you, it doesn't necessarily cause any damage except you allow it. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. Okay. That is very correct. And there are several means these hackers use to actually get people's data. One of the most popular ones is called phishing. There's spoofing, there's spamming. These are forms that the malware takes in order to actually get access to your device. And I'll just elaborate on the first one. The first one, which is called spoofing. It replicates or impersonates itself as if it's another person. For instance, we've seen in the cases that someone can build an application that actually has an interface just like the GT app or any kind of organization's app. The interface is just for you to make you fall a victim of their scams. Oh. The interface is well designed such that it portrays every of the credentials of GT Bank. In clicking on those kind of phishing links, it actually sends you to another link. What is actually going on there is that there's a redirect, and the redirect takes you to another page. That page is going to now is the scammer's own homepage. And when you get there, they ask or request for certain data, and these data are what they are going to use to actually infiltrate your device.
I mean, it is definitely unsettling information here. First and foremost, to hear that in order for this malware to affect you, you'd have to be a participating party.
That is correct.
First and foremost, and then, as you said, these scammers have very, intellectual and elegant interfaces that will mimic something that you're used to, mimic an app. So how best do you think an individual can protect themselves? What skills do they need to make sure that they can identify this is not normal, this is not what I should be trusting?
First and foremost, there's a precautionary step you need to take, and that is avoid downloading apps outside of the recommended platform. such as Google Play Store have a means of side-loading apps. That is, you can download or install apps outside of the Google Play Store. Google embedded in their platform has a bot that is called Google Play Protect. What that does is that it actually scans the mobile application for any malware or in such cases. And then if you install such kind of apps from the web or from any other means, you are more prone to getting this malware because that device you're installing has escaped the Google Play Protect from actually infecting your device. So downloading apps outside of Google Play Store is wrong. Even at that, when you want to install such kind of apps, you get warnings. You get warnings of, okay, this app you're installing will be at your own security risk. So these are steps you need to avoid. Do not download apps outside of the Google Play Store, except your friend whom you know has sent you a personal link of his developed app that he's building or something like that. That is a means, that is a step of actually taking in order to avoid this infiltration that we are talking about.
Well, let's look at, other means of infiltrating. Back in September, the NCC had urged all telecom consumers using any social media platform to be alert, and wary of these fraudsters. Now, how do these fraudsters infiltrate our social media accounts? Oftentimes we hear someone saying, my social media has been hacked. The other day we had our, Nollywood actor, Omotola, who said her Facebook account with 6 million followers was hacked. And now she may lose all those followers. I'd like for you to inform our, audience on this type of hack.
Okay, like I said earlier, phishing, a form of malware, is a means by which these hackers, they actually send you a link. And most often, these links are not always what it seems to be. So they tend to send you this link or send you information or pictures having a backlink to actually remove you from where what you're seeing. So on clicking on this link, like I said earlier, phishing does not have to be the actual hacking. The link that is sent behind the pictures or any means that this information or mails, it comes through mails or you can get it from the internet, are certain means that they actually phish. Phishing is like moving around trying to get information from people that you do not know their data. You don't have any information. All you have is just the front-end information, their names, and a little bit of information. You don't have any passwords. So that phishing is a means of like setting a hook, a trap.
It's like throwing bait.
It's like throwing a bait.
So they send you a picture in your DM. When you click on that picture, then you get hacked. Is that what you're saying? Or a link, or...
You don't get hacked instantly.
Okay. Tell us how that works.
Yes. What happens is that once you click the link, a malware is introduced to your device, depending on the kind of operating system you're operating with. I would say it's more prone to Android because Android has an open source information such that their security designs are an open source. So every phone manufacturers can have access to this security as well as the hackers also. So they have information to those security system, and it's a bit easier to actually infiltrate these devices, most particularly Android. So once they send you those links and you click on them, what happens is that your data, once the malware is introduced to your device, your data becomes, the malware starts sending signals to the center command system. And from that center command system, they begin to download all of your data. Like for instance, they get your bank credit cards. If you've actually used your bank credit cards. There's also a malware they use, it's called keylogger. Each time you type on your mobile device, it actually saves those little data that you type, most particularly passwords. So this keylogger is also a malware that is used, I believe, with this Flubot.
Oh, Flubot. Go on.
Oh, thank you, Steve. At some point, I feel everyone's going to start throwing their phones away in the bins because...
I mean, why not?
Because, it's hard to keep up with all of these different updates. Nigeria has such an awful reputation of, abusing the access to the internet. The coming of the internet came with the coming of internet cafes, and rather than people using that access to the World Wide Web in a positive way, it seems as though Nigeria has been able to develop a reputation. albeit sometimes stereotypical, on being able to use the internet to leverage, fraud and other types of cybercrimes. When we look at that increase, do you think, as a social media expert, as somebody who's educating the masses on how to protect yourselves, that these scammers, these fraudsters are in a stronger position than the actual individual? Because I think with the level of sensitization you have in newspapers, on television adverts, you hear banks say, don't ever share your PIN with anybody, don't ever give your card number to anyone. But it is very easy. I'll even use myself as an example. Mm-hmm. When I first got to Lagos and opened a bank account, the morning after I opened that bank account, I got phone calls from people with my actual number asking me to give them my card details. They were able to actually quote the last 4 digits on my card. Obviously, I didn't give them that information.
You're very correct, Femi. I mean, it happened to my son going back to the uni just last week. Went to perfect his papers at a particular bank, got a phone call almost immediately, from, looking like in the bank. And I hate to say that he got scammed, actually. So it's a major problem that we're dealing with here.
So how can people protect themselves when it comes to banking scams? When you do feel as though these messages or these phone calls are legitimate, do you think that sometimes banks play a role in these types of scams? Do you think that perhaps someone within the bank sells the information that you've just given into the bank to these people? There does seem to be some level of compliance there, because if we use myself and Steve's son's example, obviously we didn't give our information to anybody else. How else would they know what bank we had just opened an account with? How else would they have our information? Do you think there's compliance there?
Well, there are several of these organizations to consider, and there are several factors also to look at. Like I said earlier, there are layers, and it takes a whole lot for a hacker to actually have access to your phone. It's not as easy as it sounds, or it's not as easy as people complain about it. It takes a whole lot. There are layers of security breaches that needs to go, but the final drop point is the user. You must have done something. You must have committed yourself to give access to those hackers into your device or whatever platform they are operating with. So several precautionary steps that some of these applications they've put in place for us to take is the 2 factors verification code, OTPs, and there are several other factors. There's this Google Authenticator you can actually use to secure all of your one-time passwords. And also, the banks also have the OTP. You can also use that as a means of preserving or securing your apps from being hacked from third parties like hackers and all of that. So these are several precautionary steps we need to take. And also, I'd like to also emphasize on the fact of the 2-factor authentication codes. That is very important. I noticed that a lot of us don't do that 2 factors. And that 2-factor is very, very important for us to consider. It's because we don't do that, we are always complaining of hacking our hacked devices and a lot of other stuff. So we need to take this precautionary step. Go to your mobile device, any kind of application you're using, click on settings, as easy as going to your security and then checking for the precautionary steps that have been put in place for you to preserve yourself from being hacked. And also, your mobile numbers are out there. Everyone's mobile number is out there. One point in time, you registered your phone, and your phone was stored in a database. See, all these databases, they are centralized servers. And these centralized servers, definitely they are bound or susceptible to hackers. The hackers actually infiltrate this system, download some of these numbers. If you even go to Bulk SMS website, you definitely see a platform where they are offering to sell individual number within a particular locality, states, and different areas in Nigeria. Your numbers are available, is out there. So your numbers can be seen anywhere. All they need to do is just to purchase a number, and then, once they call you, sometimes they use this Truecaller, your name is on it, and once they make that call, they see your name, they begin to just gather data. So it takes a whole lot for hackers to actually get into your system. But like I would say and emphasize, it is on your own affirmation before the hackers actually get into your device. That is the last point they meet before they actually get into your device. You have to be in compliance with them before they can actually do or execute whatever plans they have on your device. So you you are the last border, you're the last security system. After they must have broken the several layers of the security batches, which is one, the operating system, secondly, the phone manufacturers, and then the application before they get to you as the last person of that security war.
All right, Joseph, thanks. I mean, I saw all these things in what NCC put out, and I also think that credit should go to the Nigerian Computer Emergency Response Team, which sort of detected this thing and alerted NCC, and then NCC alerted the public. But looking at what was put out, you know, I saw a striking resemblance in what the Australians put out to their citizens. I'm not interested in, you know, who, for want of a better word, who plagiarized who, but I'm interested in how did Australia deal with this? How did the European countries, you know, deal with this flu boat? So that if we push the bulk of the responsibility to the user, then what's the point of you banking with a particular bank, having NCC? You know, who goes after the hackers? Who tries to dismantle the system that tries to compromise you? It shouldn't just be about the end user, in my opinion. Okay. How was this dealt with in Europe and in Australia, if you have an idea?
Yes. The way it was dealt with was their communication system actually had a way of informing every user that, look, before these hackers can actually get into your device, there are several things that needs to be in place. One is that they need to send you some form of information, links that you do not know about. For instance, when you go on the web, you see ads popping up. Some of these ads, they are not what they seem to be. They are called hardware malware, ad malware. That's another form of malware that pops up on the web. It just pops up on your screen, and it offers, some of them you see lottery, some of them you see information about some kind of promo, and all of that stuff on the web. So one way is of preventing this is actually don't click on things that you do not know about. And when you're surfing on the web, there are several blogs that you get to. Some of them are infiltrated by some of this malware. So the malware, they are more active on the web than on your mobile device. So it's from your mobile device, you take some of this malware back to inside your device. So once you engage in any form of links are mostly the easiest ways of getting people to submit their data. Right. You click on the link, you're redirected to a page that you do not know anything about, and you're curious about what the page is offering because of the offer they are making on that page.
Yeah, juicy offers.
Like these
juicy offers.
Yes.
Like these pop-ups, they're all over everywhere. They're everywhere. Yeah, so you need to be very careful as regarding the kind of content you interact with on the web. And so many distractions in recent times of pop-ups, mostly when you're browsing on the web, blogs, because a lot of partners are doing Google partners, Google AdSense. You tend to want to, portray advert of companies so that you can earn as an individual on the web. So some of these webs, they have this ad malware. Yeah. That is also easy for hackers to actually implant on the web. So they can actually get your information by you just clicking on the app advert.
That's very important, Joseph.
Yes.
Sorry, Oji, just 1 minute. Because I was going to ask you, does where you get your internet access from, does it play a role? I'll read you a short message that a viewer from the UK just sent to me. Okay. And the message said, every time I come to Nigeria, if I use the internet in the hotel, there is always an attempt to change my password on my email. Now, make sure that I don't use the hotel internet to access my emails or anything that has a password in Nigeria. Is that about what you're saying? Is there a connection to the sort of internet access, Wi-Fi, etc., that you use that make all these things a lot more possible to attack you?
Looking at Wi-Fi, it's possible. Yes, because on Wi-Fi have generated signals of frequency that hackers can actually have access to. So if your Wi-Fi is not properly secured, then you are prone to some of these hackers. But when it comes to the network provider, it has nothing to do with that. The problem with the network provider is that our network is unstable. Yeah, very, very unstable, trust me. When I say unstable is basically because we often do common daily web application or domestic applications like social media platform and all of that, and we don't see the instability of our network. When you want to access a well-secured website, it will tell you or inform you that your internet is unstable, your IP address keeps changing over time. In that kind of context, you have to involve a VPN to actually get what you want to do. So our network is unstable.
Right.
It has its own stability. So we sometimes secured websites will request that you use a VPN to actually access data.
Okay. Well, as we wrap up this interview, we have thanked the NCC for their proactiveness, in warning telecoms consumers. Now, as an expert, what advice would you give the NCC beyond, just mere warning? What do they have to do next?
The NCC has done a great job. I must commend them for that. So what I would say concerning that aspect is that they continue to work with Google Android in Nigeria to actually upgrade our system, and also advise users to always update their security batches, because security batches are released at best monthly. A lot of us, one problem we have, and that was one of the issues the Australians also had, and they had to make that mandatory, was that they urge all their users to always update their security batches. Each time an update comes out, take a break, upgrade the system. That will serve a lot, because as Google, as these hackers advance, Google also grows. They advance in their security system. They work on it based on the recent attacks. So upgrade is made.
Very well. Thank you very much, Joseph Ogbaji. Yeah, absolutely.
Given the fact that tomorrow there's the likelihood that President Muhammadu Buhari will now formally launch the e-Naira thing, and I think that what you have just said will be an important advisory for most Nigerians.
Very,
absolutely.
very timely indeed.
Every financial app needs upgrade. The moment an upgrade comes, go to the App Store, make sure you upgrade your device, update the application. Always do that. It's very, very pivotal.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you again.